Welcome to Preservation Oaks, the podcast where we invite you to step away from the bustle of everyday life. Settle in and relax, and take a moment to leave the familiar behind as we explore the hidden gems of America that preserve our cultural past. We call them our Preservation Oaks, and with each episode, we'll journey to a different corner of the country, where we'll discover the unique histories, landscapes, and communities that make up our nation. We'll visit with local museums, historical, and genealogical societies. They are the stewards of these stories. They preserve the legacy of each place like precious pieces of fabric in a quilt that binds the freedom-loving, hard-working people in this country together. So, slow down, grab a beverage, open your mind, and let us take you on a tour of the fascinating histories and heartfelt traditions that lie just beyond the horizon. This is Preservation Oaks, where every story is a stitch in the fabric of our shared culture. Now, join our host, Sean Radcliffe, as he uncovers another thread in the tapestry of America's heritage and what it takes to preserve it.
Hello, friends, and welcome to this very special episode of Preservation Oaks. This is Sean Radcliffe, your guide through America's history, heritage, culture, and the incredible people keeping it alive. Today's episode is a little different. We have no new guest, no single story. Instead, we're stepping back, taking a breath, and looking at the bigger picture. This is our Season 4 Retrospective, a guided tour through the conversations, insights, and jaw-dropping facts we've gathered this season. If you've been with us since episode 79, you know how far we've traveled. Across state lines, across centuries, and sometimes straight into the future. We've talked with professional genealogists, museum directors, experts, executive directors, cultural preservationists, volunteers, and community historians. And through it all, one melody has emerged again and again. Preservation is about connection. Connection to our roots, connection to our neighbors, connection to the stories that shape who we are and who we might become. Now let's review Season 4's highlights, dive deeper into the themes that tied this season together, and share some behind-the-scenes reflections you didn't hear the first time round. So whether you're listening on your commute, working in the garden, or curled up with a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and let's take this journey together. In episode 79, we started the season with the Michigan Historic Preservation Network. We kicked off Season 4 with Brenda Rigdon, Executive Director. This is an organization fighting to save Michigan's historic places. One phrase Brenda used struck with me: demolition by neglect. It's what happens when historic buildings aren't maintained until they're too far gone to save. No explosion, no wrecking ball, just slow, quiet loss. Brenda walked us through their Historic Resource Council directory, which connects people with preservation experts. Whether you need a mason to repair century-old brick or guidance on tax credits for restoration, this directory is your starting point. Brenda reminded us that preservation is more than sentiment, it's strategy. Restored districts create jobs, tourism, and pride. They're not just nice to have, they're an economic engine and give a community an identity worth protecting. Then in episode 80, Who Needs an Exhibit Designer? Tony Greco from the Buffalo History Museum joined us. And if you ever walked into a museum and thought, wow, this place just feels right, you have an exhibit designer to thank, whether that's a hat they wore when needed or their full-time gig. Tony's philosophy: exhibits should be accessible and inclusive, telling stories from multiple perspectives. And you don't need a huge budget. Creativity is your best asset. He encouraged smaller museums to think beyond their walls. Start a podcast, build a mini exhibit in a coffee shop, or partner with schools for student-led history projects. I loved Tony's philosophy because it mirrors what we do here on this podcast, making history open, approachable, and impossible to ignore. History belongs to everyone. You just need the right entry point, and many times that's an exhibit. Now in episode 81 with the Marquette Regional History Center, where I had the honor to meet Betsy Rutz and Chris Ozier. Those two are such professionals. They brought us to Michigan's Upper Peninsula, where history is part of daily life. And at the Marquette Regional History Center, they host everything from archaeology fairs to senior support programs. Their big message, ordinary items matter. A wedding dress, a family Bible, an old videotape of a birthday party. These are the threads that make up the fabric of a community. Something I'll share is that after this episode aired, a listener emailed me saying she pulled her grandmother's wedding gown out of storage, had it preserved, and is now displaying it at family gatherings. That was great to hear, and it's the ripple effect we hope for. Moving on to episode 82 with the Castle Museum of Saginaw County History. Dr. Jennifer Vanette and Tom Trumbley told the story of a magnificent building that's been saved from demolition more than once. A former post office that's now the community attic. Here's what I love. They don't just collect important objects, they collect everything that tells a community story, from vintage postcards to household gadgets. In their eyes, no piece of history is too small to matter. Then on to the Pentwater Historical Society on episode 83, where Beth Russell proved that history can be fun. Imagine a history cruise on Lake Michigan, audio tours for visitors and volunteers transcribing historical records from home. Now for me, this episode was where we heard so clearly that digital volunteers can be just as impactful as in-person ones. Some people preserve history in their pajamas and from their kitchen tables. Mark Fetter and Manistee were featured in episode 84 with the Manistee County Historical Museum. Mark gave us the reality check. Boom! Preserving history in a seasonal tourist community isn't easy. He stressed the irreplaceable value of photographs. Lose those and you lose your visual record forever. On to episode 85 with the Tompkins Center Historical Society, where Chrissy Norris manages 9 historic buildings and leads the Tompkins Voices Oral History Project. Their work is fueled almost entirely by volunteers, and what a great society. The energy and devotion here, off the charts. If you're nearby, join them. Seriously. Episode 86 in the Sanilac County Historical Society is where we all met Mr. Dan Finn, who oversees an 18-building historic village. His biggest challenge, recruiting younger members who can carry the torch and improving the infrastructure of the grounds to ensure visitors have a great experience. Dan's commitment to making his site visitor-friendly reminded me, history only works if people want to come experience it. We learned so much from Dan, and I can't thank him enough for sharing his world with us. In episode 87 at the Zeeland Historical Society, Caitlin Bosch Vermeers celebrated their 50th anniversary and talked about the balancing act between preserving history and embracing modern technology. They've already digitized 40% of their collection, a massive achievement and a great society. I hope you join them. Episode 88 and the Brighton Area Historical Society is where everyone met Jim Vichik. His story is proof that history can bridge generations. His organization saved the Lions Schoolhouse and brings students into cemetery restoration projects, teaching them both history and community service. Jim also inspired episode 101. He and his team spent 12 years repairing and improving the local cemetery. Amazing devotion from everybody in the area who participated. That's more than dedication. That's love for a community's soul. In episode 89, we met Olga Leskiewski, the executive director of the Ukrainian American Archives and Museum. And boy, that was such a learning experience. Olga spoke passionately about preserving Ukrainian culture during wartime. What a wonderful culture. And again, we are so grateful to learn so much. Every photo, every artifact becomes even more precious when your heritage is under threat. Every artifact becomes a lifeline to identity. Thank you, Olga, for helping all of us understand more about the people and culture of the Ukrainians. In episode 90 with the Plymouth Historical Museum, we met Liz Kirstens, who went from the U.S. Marine Corps to museum director, rebuilding exhibits and sustaining operations without a dime of government funding. Liz showcased the museum's 77-year legacy. They've been in operation since 1948, and they're preserving local history and connecting the community to its roots. We all learned the power of railroads in shaping the economic and cultural development of small towns, the importance of local leaders stepping up in times of national crisis, which can be a recurring theme in community heritage. Preserving and interpreting industry and innovation history is just as vital as political or military history. And finally, a museum's relevance grows when it both celebrates its past and engages actively with its community in the present. Now, in episode 91, we did a special episode called The Divorce Dilemma featuring Diana Chrisman Smith, a respected professional genealogist with decades of experience lending credibility and expertise. In that episode, Diana helped bring attention to a little discussed but increasingly important genealogical challenge, tracing female ancestors through multiple marriages and name changes. Genealogists must adapt research strategies to social changes such as rising divorce rates and changing surname practices. Persistence and creativity are essential. Looking beyond birth, marriage, and death records can be the key to breakthroughs. Personal histories are rarely neat or linear. Embracing the messiness of family narratives leads to richer and more accurate genealogies. Social and legal changes leave long-term imprints on family history research, making historical context as important as records themselves. Next up was episode 92 and the Union City Society for Historic Preservation. This episode featured leader Bobby Watson Mathis. She's an energetic and creative preservation leader whose passion spans art, genealogy, and cemetery restoration. Bobby shared Union City's ties to the Underground Railroad, connecting listeners to unique local history, including Union City's role as station number 2 on the Underground Railroad. We also highlighted Bobby's do no harm approach to cemetery restoration. We learned about John Zimmerman, who risked himself to protect freedom seekers, uncovered and explained the long-standing Dead Man's Hollow legend, tracing it back to a sensational 1914 murder case. We reviewed how local history can hold nationally significant stories, like the Underground Railroad, that deserve recognition and preservation, how historical societies have a critical role in correcting gaps in memory, such as unmarked graves or untold legends, how engaging storytelling can turn every grim history into a community-building and educational experience, and finally, how involving younger generations is key to ensuring the future vitality of preservation work.
And now let's take a short break. We will return to the program in just a few minutes.
Hi there, this is Jim Vitchik, President of the Brighton Area Historical Society. You're listening to Preservation Oaks with Sean Radcliffe, where history comes alive.
Hi, I'm Dan Finn, Administrator with Sanilac County Historical Society. If you're passionate about preserving our heritage, listen to Preservation Oaks with Sean Radcliffe.
Hi, this is Brenda Rigdon. I'm the Executive Director at the Michigan Historic Preservation Network. Preservation Oaks with Sean Radcliffe is your podcast for uncovering the layers of history and the richness of our country.
Explore the history of Camden and Rockport, Maine with the Camden Rockport Historical Society. Located at 7 Commercial Street, Rockport, Maine 04857 in your own hometown. Bring your family. Bring a friend, or just come on down to learn more about why they love Camden, Rockport, Knox County, and Maine. Take your family history records down to the leading resource for Camden and Rockport genealogists and family historians. You'll get the help you need, and learn about why the Camden Rockport Historical Society, in Rockport, Maine, loves genealogy. For hours, memberships, donations, or to volunteer, visit them on the web at CamdenRockportHistoricalSociety.org. You'll be glad you did.
Where can you experience the remarkable life and accomplishments of Dr. Norman Borlaug all in a single day? At the Norman Borlaug Heritage Foundation near Cresco, Iowa. Through his scientific ability to crossbreed plants, this great man created the Green Revolution. This revolution included new farming methods, new varieties of wheat, barley, corn, and other plants which dramatically increased climate adaptability, disease resistance, and crop yields. This aided the people of Africa, Latin America, the Middle East, China, and other places across the world in preventing over 1 billion people from perishing due to starvation. Please donate, evangelize, volunteer, join, and visit the Norman Borlaug Heritage Foundation. Their mission is to preserve Dr. Borlaug's birthplace and boyhood home and to inspire and educate the public. They hope to empower others through the knowledge of Dr. Borlaug to help solve the problems of providing enough food for a hungry world. For appointments, directions, and attending scheduled events, visit them at normanborlaug.org. You can email the foundation at nbhforg@gmail.com or call at 563-547-3434. You'll have a great time touring the exhibits and learning more about this great man. Explore your family history in Lynn County, Iowa, at the Lynn County Genealogical Society, nestled in the heart of Cedar Rapids. Bring your records in your family tree and come on down to the leading resource for Lynn County genealogists and family historians. You'll get the help you need and learn about why the Lynn County Genealogical Society loves Lynn County and Iowa genealogy. For hours, admissions, membership, and volunteer opportunities, visit them at gen.soc.lia.weebly.com. Have fun and make progress. Ad 4. Where can you research hundreds of years of your family in a single day? At the Lynn County Genealogical Society located in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. You'll find a wide range of records and family lineage information at the Lynn County Genealogical Society. The society works hard to help family historians and genealogists. They bring together people interested in genealogy, hold educational events, seminars, and workshops. Learn more about their hours, admissions, membership, and volunteer opportunities by visiting gen.soc.lia.weebly.com. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard this historic tour flight. This is your flight attendant speaking. Please turn on all personal podcast playing electronic devices and fasten your seatbelts as we're expecting some turbulence over the middle of our country. From there, we might stop over in Iowa for a spellbinding weekend before making our final descent into Mobile, Alabama in the mid-19th century. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy your historic tour with the Preservation Oaks podcast.
There's another way to get away and relax anytime you like. Just listen to another episode of the Preservation Oaks podcast. It's free, and it's an excellent way to enjoy the history and uniqueness of our country. The tour is on us. Enjoy.
You're listening to Preservation Oaks, where new episodes are created for you every 2 weeks. That's 26 episodes per season. Let me see, that's like 182 in-dog episodes. Right?
9 out of 10 archivists agree. Preservation Oaks is the best podcast on the internet.
And now, back to Preservation Oaks.
Well, there you are. Welcome back. Let's get going. We're so glad you're back. Welcome. Now on with the program.
Episode 93, Region of Three Oaks Museum, featured Nick Bogart, a seasoned journalist and documentary producer who brings investigative skill and storytelling expertise to local history preservation. We learned about Nick Bogart's QR code system, which expands exhibits far beyond physical space a perfect example of low-cost, high-impact tech in history. The episode highlighted the museum's role in interpreting the history of Three Oaks, New Buffalo, and surrounding townships from early settlement to industrial development. Nick shared how Three Oaks got its name, gave us a peek at the quirky artifacts and celebrity connections at a local meat market, discussed the Bridgman Raid of 1922, linking local history to national themes like the Red Scare and federal surveillance. We found out that place names often carry rich origin stories that can be leveraged to deepen community identity and tourism interest. Local institutions can preserve social history and cultural quirks that might otherwise be lost. Events in small towns can reflect national political and cultural tensions, making them important study points. And integrating heritage with current attractions helps sustain visitor engagement and economic benefits. Episode 94 was a solo episode exploring the human cost of war and the lessons we still need to learn. It was entitled The American Civil War and Its Impact on Families. It was a broad yet human-centered overview of the Civil War, focusing on how it reshaped families, communities, and social roles. We blended political and military history with personal stories of divided families, giving listeners multiple entry points into the topic. We shared stories of the Anderson brothers of Kentucky and the Lee family, which personalized the concept of brother against brother, and so much more. The Civil War was not just fought on battlefields. It was lived in homes and communities, leaving lasting emotional and societal scars. Political compromise can delay but not always resolve fundamental moral conflicts. Social upheavals like war can accelerate shifts in gender roles and family structures. And understanding national history requires tracing its impact down to the individual and family level. In episode 95, Dwayne Coates told the story of the oldest building in the Mississippi River Valley and its resurrection after Hurricane Katrina. The LaPointe Krebs House was built in 1757. This episode connected the site's preservation to broader Mississippi history, blending Native American, French, Spanish, British, and American influences, where Dwayne positioned the museum as both a heritage landmark and a future community event space. We also learned about Dwayne's own family history, linking the site to Civil War resistance and Southern gospel music heritage. Historic preservation benefits from both architectural conservation and storytelling that keeps traditions alive. Legends and folklore can be powerful tools for engaging visitors, even when the truth remains partly mysterious. Personal and community histories often intersect in ways that broaden the significance of a historic site. And preserving the physical structure is only part of the mission. Preserving the cultural memory is equally important. What we wanted to achieve in episode 96, Making a Difference, was to spotlight local history heroes turning small budgets into big results. We framed local museums, historical and genealogical societies as active community builders, rather than passive keepers of artifacts, gave practical, real-world examples of community impact, from oral history projects to gravestone restoration, historical walking tours, and pop-up exhibits, offered low-cost creative strategies for measuring visitor engagement and program success, emphasized the importance of neutral, balanced history presentations with a clear checklist for identifying bias-free storytelling, and encouraged public involvement through volunteering, donating, and spreading awareness, showing how everybody can contribute. What did we learn? Well, that heritage organizations can remain relevant and vibrant by adopting interactive, accessible, and technology-enhanced approaches. Measuring impact doesn't require large budgets. Creativity and consistency can yield valuable insights. Neutral, fact-based storytelling fosters trust and broader community engagement. Local history has the power to heal, unite, and inspire when it's made personal and participatory, and that support from the public, time, funding, or advocacy is essential for sustaining the legacy and community role of these organizations. Now, during episode 97 at the Crossroads Museum and Historic Corinth Depot, Lisa Kinney showed us the challenge of bringing back school field trips post-COVID and how hands-on exhibits help. We connected Corinth's unique location at the intersection of major railroads to its pivotal role in the Civil War, especially the Siege and Battle of Corinth, and showcased how the museum integrates hands-on exhibits, rare artifacts, and community programming to appeal to diverse audiences. We learned that a site's geographic and transportation advantages can make it a focal point of national events, shaping its long-term identity. That blending military history with civilian life stories makes history more relatable and engaging for visitors. Active programming like reenactments and school outreach keeps history alive and relevant for all ages. And finally, that museums can strengthen local economies and pride through heritage tourism while preserving the past. We learned that in places like Corinth, there's history before and beyond the Civil War, and that good people are preserving that, as well as that almighty conflict in our U.S. history. On to episode 98 and the Lindsborg Old Mill and Swedish Heritage Museum, where Aubrey Wheeler shared their Swedish heritage preservation work and the royal rededication of a historic pavilion. We showcased the 1898 Lindsborg Old Mill, a rare and fully restored working flour mill, as a living testament to Kansas's agricultural and industrial history, celebrated Lindsborg's Swedish cultural heritage, highlighting traditions, crafts, and events that keep immigrant history alive, and explain how the museum is both a cultural anchor and a driver of local tourism. We learned that restoration projects can revitalize historic sites, bring communities together, and create new opportunities for tourism and education. Preserving ethnic and immigrant heritage enriches community identity and fosters cultural pride. Combining operational demonstrations with historical interpretation deepens visitor engagement, and that active volunteer networks and community buy-in are essential for long-term preservation success. In episode 99 with the Our Black Ancestry Foundation, Sharon Leslie Morgan gave us a moving look at African American genealogy and the healing power of truth. Sharon Leslie Morgan is an award-winning author, genealogist, and founder of the Our Black Ancestry Foundation. Sharon shared her personal journey from corporate communications to full-time genealogist and advocate for Black heritage preservation. She explained how OBAF uses collaboration, education, and online tools to help members trace family histories despite record gaps. She told us stories of uncovering hidden histories and restoring dignity to overlooked or misrepresented ancestors. She reminded us that history is messy and complicated, and to embrace truth over myth. We learned that genealogical research for African Americans often requires creative approaches due to systemic erasure in historical records. History telling can be both personally transformative and socially corrective. Safe, supportive communities are essential for fostering honest engagement with complex and painful histories, and that preservation work may address emotional as well as factual truths to fully honor our ancestors. Next, we celebrated our 100th episode by taking a 100-year journey into the future, imagining the journey from 2025 to the year 2125, from fusion power to moon colonies through the lens of history. We blended creative futurism with the podcast's mission, showing how heritage preservation could evolve alongside technological and societal changes. We provided vivid descriptions of a futuristic world where AI historians, advanced preservation technology, and interplanetary archives safeguard human heritage. What did we learn? That thinking about the future of preservation can inspire innovation today. Storytelling can bridge serious educational themes with lighthearted entertainment to reach a wider audience. History doesn't stop. We're all active participants in creating the records future historians will study. And that milestones are an opportunity to both celebrate achievements and set visionary goals. All right, in episode 101, Honoring Sacred Memories, Preserving Lost Cemeteries, we explored cemeteries as museums without walls and the need for national legal standards and protections. We shone a light on the nationwide issue of neglected and abandoned cemeteries, emphasizing their historical and cultural significance, provided practical guidance for communities and individuals on locating, preserving, and advocating for forgotten burial sites, featured compelling examples of grassroots efforts that successfully restored dignity to historic cemeteries. We learned that cemeteries are not just burial places. They're community archives and must be treated with care. Local engagement and education are key to sustaining preservation efforts. Collaboration between historians, genealogists, and community members can overcome legal and logistical challenges. And how preserving burial sites honors not only those interred, but also the stories and heritage of entire communities. Now on to episode 102, the Fraga family, Michoacan, Michigan, where Len Rajewski Fraga discussed his personal journey building a multimedia-rich family history website. We showcased how technology and digital platforms can make family histories accessible to relatives and researchers worldwide. We learned that family history projects thrive when they combine rigorous research with personal storytelling. Digital archives allow family heritage to be shared, preserved, and expanded across generations and borders. Migration stories are central to understanding cultural identity and resilience, and individual efforts can have lasting historical value, especially when shared with the wider community. Next, accomplished genealogist, author, speaker, and educator Diana Christman Smith closed Season 4 with Episode 103, Piecing Together Your Ancestry, by sharing her proven genealogical workflow for success, providing listeners with a clear step-by-step process for starting and advancing their family history research, balancing technical research skills with the emotional rewards of uncovering personal heritage. She also encouraged both beginners and experienced researchers by showing them how to refine their approaches for more accurate and fulfilling results. We learned that genealogical success depends on organization, persistence, and critical evaluation of evidence. Oral histories and personal interviews can uncover details not found in written records. Being flexible and thinking outside the box is key to solving challenging research problems, and that the journey of discovery is as valuable as the final family tree. Process matters as much as results. As we look back at Season 4 in Michigan, Mississippi, and Kansas, certain themes kept surfacing. No matter the size of the organization, the location, or the focus of their work, these themes are more than patterns. They're the DNA of preservation. Let's take a deeper dive into some of them. First, we see local history as community identity. Time and again, our guests reminded us that history isn't just what happened, it's who we are. Take the Marquette Regional History Center. They connect people to their own backyards through year-round events. Or the Castle Museum of Saginaw County History, which calls itself the Community Attic. These aren't just museums, they're mirrors, showing us who we've been, who we are, and who we can be.
We'll be right back after this message.
The Marquette Regional History Center, where the stories of the past shape the future of the community. Located in the heart of Marquette, Michigan, this nonprofit gem has been preserving the rich heritage of the Upper Peninsula since 1918. But they can't continue their mission without you. Did you know that your donation today helps to maintain incredible exhibits, preserve irreplaceable artifacts, and keep the research library accessible to the public? The Marquette Regional History Center isn't just about the past, it's about engaging the entire community through history, art, and culture. Every dollar you give helps keep this essential work alive for future generations. From inspiring school children to providing a gathering place for local events, your donations create a ripple effect that reaches far beyond the museum's walls. By giving, you're making sure that the stories of the ancestors, pioneers, and innovators are never forgotten. And with their social media outreach, they're connecting with history lovers near and far. Join the mission by becoming a donor today. Visit the website at marquettehistory.org to make a contribution, or find them on Facebook at Marquette History. They'd love to hear from you at 906-226-3571, or stop by and see for yourself at 145 West Spring Street, Marquette. Whether it's $25, $50, or more, your gift makes a lasting difference. By donating, you're helping the Marquette Regional History Center bring history to life, preserve cultural treasures, and shape the future of Marquette County. You're not just giving to a history center, you're giving to the community, to education, and to future generations who will continue to learn from the past.
We invite you to follow us on Facebook at Marquette History to see the impact your donations are making, and for updates on all our events, exhibits, and stories. Visit our website, marquettehistory.org, where you can also find more information on how you can support or become a member and volunteer. Together, we can preserve the stories that define us. The Marquette Regional History Center, where history lives and thrives, thanks to you.
Are you ready to embark on a journey through time? The Manistee Historical Society and Museum invites you to discover the rich tapestry of history woven into the very fabric of Manistee, Michigan. Located at 425 River Street, this hidden gem offers a fascinating glimpse into the past, showcasing the stories and artifacts that have shaped our community. As visitors step through the doors, they are transported back in time, exploring beautifully preserved exhibits that feature everything from Civil War memorabilia to antique clocks and pioneer artifacts. The museum's collection reflects the diverse history of Manistee, including its vibrant maritime heritage and the role it played in the lumber industry that helped build America. Open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., the Manistee Museum is perfect for families, students, and history buffs alike. Each visit promises new discoveries and an engaging experience for all ages. But that's not all. The museum also hosts a variety of events throughout the year, including educational programs, guest speakers, and community gatherings. There's always something happening at the Manistee Historical Society, making it a wonderful place to connect with fellow history enthusiasts and locals who share a passion for preserving our heritage.
Want to learn more or plan your visit? Head over to manasteemuseum.org for details, and don't forget to check us out on Facebook at Manistee-County-Historical-Museum for updates and events. You can also reach the museum directly at 231-723-5531 or via email at manasteemuseum@gmail.com. Come explore the heart of Manistee's history at the Manistee Historical Society and Museum, where every artifact tells a story waiting to be discovered. See you there.
Incoming message.
Imagine a time when copper was king and the bustling communities of Michigan's copper country were the heartbeat of America's industrial might. On the Keweenaw Peninsula in South Range, Michigan, the Copper Range Historical Society and Museum proudly preserves these remarkable stories and treasures. They're dedicated to keeping the spirit and heritage of copper country alive for everyone to explore and enjoy. The museum is a treasure trove of artifacts and exhibits that tell the tale of the people who lived, worked, and thrived there. From the hardworking miners to the families who built their lives around the copper mines, their stories are woven into the fabric of our community.
I remember when the mines were bustling. We were a tight-knit community, always supporting each other.
These memories and histories are priceless, and they need your help to keep them alive. Your donations are vital for them to continue the mission. Every contribution, no matter the size, makes a significant impact. It helps them maintain the exhibits, offer educational programs, and preserve the unique heritage of the Keweenaw Peninsula and Copper Country for future generations. Giving is easy. You can visit them online at pasty.com/CRHM. The website is filled with ways you can support, from one-time donations to becoming a sustaining member. You can also follow them on Facebook to stay updated on all their great events and activities.
I loved seeing the old mining equipment. It was like stepping back in time.
Your support helps them bring history to life for children and families. It's not just about the past, it's about inspiring curiosity and learning in everyone who visits. And if you prefer the personal touch, we'd love to see you at 44 Tri-Mountain Avenue in South Range, or you can mail your donations to P.O. Box 148, South Range, Michigan 49963. They're more than just a museum, they're a cornerstone of the community. By supporting the Copper Range Historical Society and Museum, you're helping to keep the shared history vibrant and accessible. Whether it's preserving a piece of mining equipment, hosting a local history talk, or running a community event, your generosity makes all the difference.
Volunteering here has been incredible. It's amazing to see how much people care about our history.
Join them in making a lasting impact. For more information, or to find out how you can get involved, email them at copperrangehistoricalsociety@gmail.com. Together, we can ensure the rich legacy of the Keweenaw Peninsula and Copper Country continues to shine brightly for generations to come.
The Copper Range Historical Society and Museum, preserving the past, enriching the present, and inspiring the future. Thank you for your generous support.
And now, here's a little nugget for ya. History, the tale we all share. Every community has its own stories to tell. Visit your local historical society or museum to uncover the shared history that connects us all. Together, let's celebrate our stories.
And now, here's a little nugget for you. Volunteer at a historical society or museum and discover the real reason your great-aunt Mildred was considered eccentric.
Who put 8 great tomatoes in that little bitty can? Who put 8 great tomatoes in that little bitty can? Who put 8 great tomatoes in that little bitty can? You know who,
In case you don't, it's Contadina tomato paste.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
And then there's Union City. Their ties to the Underground Railroad aren't just in history books. They're woven into the streets, the buildings, and the stories still told today. As Bobby Mathis said, we're a small town with a big heart, and we don't forget where we came from. When local history is strong, people feel anchored. And when you feel anchored, you care more about your neighbors, your neighborhood, and your future. Next, technology is the new preservation tool. This season showed us that the digital world isn't replacing history, it's helping to save it. Zeeland Historical Society has already digitized 40% of its collection. That means a researcher in California can access a Zeeland artifact at midnight without ever boarding a plane. Nick Bogart's QR codes at the Region of Three Oaks Museum turn every exhibit into a multimedia experience. And the Plymouth Historical Museum is looking at AI and augmented reality Imagine meeting a virtual historical figure who can answer your questions in real time. These tools don't just preserve history, they activate it. They bring it to younger audiences who live on their phones and expect interactive engagement. Then there's volunteer power. If there's one phrase that could be the unofficial slogan of Season 4, it's this: volunteers are the lifeblood. From Petwater's at-home transcription teams to Brighton's student-led headstone restorations, we saw how ordinary people do extraordinary preservation work. At Zeeland Historical Society, volunteers mentor high school and college interns, teaching them to catalog artifacts and create educational programs. In Union City, community members literally built a bell tower from bricks saved from a demolished school. This is history kept alive by people who show up. No paycheck, no spotlight, just passion. During this season, we learned about genealogy as a bridge. We had some powerful conversations about family history this season. Diana Christman Smith gave us practical step-by-step methods for finding ancestors, even when records are scattered or names have changed multiple times. Sharon Leslie Morgan brought an entirely different perspective, talking about the unique challenges in African American genealogy, including researching enslavers to trace lineage. That work isn't just about data. It's about healing generational wounds and reclaiming identities. Genealogy is where the personal and the historical meet. It's one of the most direct ways to see how the past shapes the present. And finally, we learned about sacred spaces. Season 4 made it clear. Cemeteries aren't just resting places. They're open-air archives, museums without walls. We saw how volunteers like Bobby Mathis carefully clean and repair headstones, honoring a do-no-harm philosophy. We learned how African American cemeteries are disproportionately neglected, and how new legal protections are needed to keep their stories alive. We saw community members and young people come together in Brighton, Michigan for 12 years to transform their ancestors' resting places from a derelict, forgotten place to a beautiful reserve of history. When we lose these sites, we lose names, dates, and stories that can't be replaced. But when we preserve them, we keep those connections alive for future generations. These themes, local identity, technology, volunteers, genealogy, and sacred spaces, aren't just nice to have. They're essential. They're what keep history from fading away. And here's the thing, you can be part of all of them. When I think about Season 4, one word keeps coming to mind: resilience. Our guests aren't just preserving history, they're adapting to change, finding new ways to reach people, and bridging generational divides. There were moments that caught me off guard, like learning that the Lindsborg Old Mills Swedish Pavilion was rededicated by the King of Sweden himself, or that the Manistee County Historical Museum discovered James Earl Jones has family roots there in Manistee. Some stories were deeply emotional, like Sharon Leslie Morgan's reflections on the pain and pride of African American genealogy, or the Ukrainian American Archives and Museum's work to protect culture in the face of an ongoing war. And some were just pure joy, like Petwater's History Cruises or Union City's Bell Tower Project. What I've learned is this: history work is never finished. It's ongoing, evolving, and always tied to the people who care enough to keep it alive. To every guest who joined us this season, thank you. Thank you for opening your doors, sharing your stories, and trusting us to help tell them. Your work inspires, educates, and connects us in ways that matter more than ever. To our listeners, whether you've been here since episode 1 or just joined us this week, thank you for your time, your attention, and your curiosity. Every download, every share, every comment keeps this conversation going. If there's one thing I want you to take from Season 4, it's this: you can make history just by helping to save it and share it for the next generations to learn from. Visit your local museum, historical, and genealogical society. Volunteer a few hours. Donate an old photograph or record an oral history with a family member. It doesn't take much to make a difference, but it does take all of us, and it's so fun and enriching for families. And finally, get ready. Season 5 is coming, and we have even more stories, more voices, and more connections to make. We'll be talking about everything from hidden histories to groundbreaking preservation projects happening right now in Colorado, Georgia, Illinois, and then Ohio. We'll sprinkle in special episodes on topics to help family historians across our nation and have fun in the process. There's plenty to learn in this great nation, and there'll be plenty of curves and surprises ahead. Until then, keep exploring, keep preserving, and as always, keep on giving and keep on living the good life.
Okay, that's a wrap for this episode. Music used today is from Cymbalbird, Tim McMorris, Mango Audio, Mono Alex, and Scott Holmes. As usual, if you have questions or comments, just email us at preservationoaks@gmail.com.
Microstream Radio is a registered trademark. You can visit at www.microstreamradio.com. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted by Microstream Radio. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, reproduced, copied, or used anywhere without the written permission of Microstream Radio. Preservation Oaks starring Sean Radcliffe originates in Salt Lake City, Utah. Be sure to join us for our next episode on your favorite podcast platform. This is Sonia Maxwell speaking. Preservation Oaks has come to you through the worldwide podcast platform Podbean, and our home is preservationoaks.podbean.com. Hopefully you found today's episode useful, informative, and thought-provoking. If so, please like, comment, and subscribe. Remember that being free means being free to be curious, and that historical and genealogical societies and museums allow us to discover the past, be free to explore, where curiosity opens every door. Thanks to everyone for listening. Stay cozy, curious, and keep exploring the incredible stories that shape our world. Remember to cherish and support the preservation of history in your own communities. The content of this program is provided for educational and informational purposes only. Some material included in this program may be copyrighted by third parties. However, under Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act, the doctrine of fair use allows the limited use of copyrighted material without requiring permission from the rights holders when used for purposes such as education, criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. These uses are legally permitted even if they might otherwise constitute infringement. If you wish to use copyrighted material from this program for purposes beyond fair use, you must obtain permission from the copyright owner. If you believe your copyrighted material has been used in this program in a way that does not qualify as fair use, please contact us at preservationoaks@gmail.com. Thank you.